So, hey, Kate, welcome to the 80/20 podcast.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you. Thanks for having me this morning.
Absolutely. So, we're going to talk about you to start off.
Okay.
I remember our first meeting, and it was via Zoom. And what really struck me was your colored white shirt. And as you know, I was
Right.
looking for colored white shirts, and then at the end, I said, you had me at the white colored shirt. So we've come a long way since the white colored shirt and
We
inspired
have.
us
We have.
to have some 80/20 wardrobe with some white collared shirts. But anyways, I want you to just go ahead and tell me your story. You're a Motor City girl. That's our
Mhm.
common bond. I call
Yeah.
myself almost the Canadian Motor City girl because I
Mhm.
grew up next to Detroit, but on the Canadian side. But I love the Detroit City vibe.
Yeah.
And I guess first tell us what's unique about that Detroit City, Motor City vibe. How would you
Yeah.
describe it?
Oh my gosh, that's such a fun question. I love talking about Detroit, especially because, in Indiana and just at IU, there's not a ton of kids from that come from the Detroit, Metro Detroit area. So whenever I meet someone or find someone, it's kind of like a diamond in the rough. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But I think what's really unique about Detroit, first of all, is the culture. It's so super, super diverse. We actually have the biggest Muslim American community in the entire US, which a lot of people don't know about. So Dearborn, Michigan has so much culture. It's almost like you're kind of in the Middle East, which is really cool. And I have a lot of really close friends, I have family there or even live there. So I think that just adds a whole different component to Detroit that not a lot of people know about, but is really cool and special about the city. And then outside of just, being super diverse, I think what's so cool about Detroit is just this hustle culture. There's a lot of soul in the city, obviously with roots in music, but also just kind of how the city has rebuilt after the recession has been really cool to just see it progress. I remember going down to Detroit to see a show or something when I was little, and it was rough. You kind of went directly there, you went directly out of the city. It was not somewhere that you kind of would go even have dinner really. But now in the last probably 5 to 10 years after they've really started rebuilding, it's I mean, I went down there in high school, I go down there now, it has just had such a shift, and you can tell really that's because of just how much people care about the city and care about each other and really have this deep bond within where they're from and Detroit itself. So I think that's just what's so cool about it. I love it. I think it is a really, really unique city, and it's unlike a lot of other places. And I feel really grateful to be from there. So
I love that. I love that. There's just this hardcore, strong work ethic, blue collar type of, there's lots of white collar there, but just
yeah,
grit, just it oozes grit to me
it does.
and
It so does.
authenticity, and it's not superficial. And I don't know, I just props to Detroit and all the
Yeah.
people who are from there. So I had to give a shout out to the Motor City.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think just even in the suburbs, I think about my friends' parents growing up, and like you said, there's no not superficial. My high school experience, when I talk about it, I notice it is different from other friends I have or other people who grew up in different areas in the US. And that's totally fine, but it's just there's something different about it, which I think is really special. So
Yeah. So hopefully we're upping the tourism of Detroit because nobody
I
wants to
hope
go for a
so.
vacation to
I
Detroit,
know.
but
I know.
maybe we can help a little.
Right. Everyone always goes, "Oh, I played hockey there. Oh, I went there for blah blah blah." I'm like, well, there's more to Detroit than hockey, but
Okay, so tell us your story. How did you, Motor City Kate,
yeah,
get herself to Indiana University and Bloomington, Indiana?
yeah. So Motor City Kate got herself to Indiana University. So basically, I was just so ready to spread my wings after high school. my high school was big on like Michigan State, great. Like a lot of my friends went there. They're great schools, but I just like had such a like need in myself. I was like, I want to get out. I want to meet new people. I want to have this new experience, which I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way. And really like I was kind of looking at small schools, big schools. I really wanted a great business school because I knew that's kind of where I was leaning. And then everything just started to fall into place with IU. Like it wasn't on my radar at all. It's not where I thought I was going to go. I was like, I want to go to Tulane in New Orleans or something. Like I wanted just something so different. And then like I had like a great roommate situation work out and the business school worked out. And I was just like, you know what? Like I visited, it felt really warm. The people felt welcoming. It felt like where I needed to be. And since then, I told my mom the other day, like, I don't think I could have picked a better school for myself. It just like really fits who I am. It's really helping me like develop and grow. And there's so many opportunities for me to really like try a bunch of different things or go a bunch of different places. And yeah, I'm so happy with being here. I love Bloomington, and I think it was a really, really good move for me.
Oh, good. Wow. That was just a great testimonial for Indiana University and Kelley School and Bloomington.
Yeah.
And so part of your experience was being in a sorority.
Yeah.
Just give us a glimpse of what that's like and how it's benefited you and what you got out of it. And I
Yeah.
take it, everything you've said is very positive.
Thanks. Yeah. Being in sorority, it's been good. Like it's definitely, I think, it was more of an adjustment. Last year I lived in the house and I was also like on the executive board. So living in the house, like you're friends with everyone, but you also kind of like have to take this leadership role and enforce rules. And I think that's like a really interesting dynamic and it can play out in a very interesting way, especially amidst the pandemic, amidst of like so many other things going on. Like, I mean, there was like 80 of us in this house, like 24/7, like living there, studying there. So it was interesting. We got really close, which I loved. And I really enjoyed it. And I've learned a lot from just being kind of in that position of power, but also learning like, how do I juggle that with also like being a friend to people? And I think that's something I didn't anticipate, but it's been a cool experience that I think has been really unique for me, especially like as a leader and just as a friend. But I've enjoyed it a lot. We have a great house and a great location. And it's really helped me, you know, connect to women, especially who aren't in the business school, because I notice I kind of like circulate in the same circle of business students. And this has been a great opportunity for me to get out of that circle. So.
And what sorority is it? You didn't share that.
Oh, it's Kappa Alpha Theta.
Okay,
So
good.
it's Theta. It's like right across from Woodlawn Field on Woodlawn. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, let's move on to the world of influencer marketing and influencers.
Yeah.
And, our specialty is, Gen Z and marketing, branding, all that here at 80/20. But that's one of the biggest things that we're seeing as a trend in marketing and brands trying to connect with their audience. So who is your favorite influencer to watch and follow?
Okay. I actually told you this recently, Kelly, but my favorite influencer that I've followed for years. And when I look back at it, I'm like kind of astonished that I've like followed her for so long. I'm like, I feel like I'm her friend. So her name's Danielle Marie, and she's from Florida and she goes to UGA. And I started watching her like probably when she like 5 years ago, I would say. She was like graduating high school. I remember watching where she was picking to college. And the crazy part is I visited colleges that she visited because I trusted her opinion so much. Like me and my mom went to Georgia because she went there. And I really like that is the reason. I know.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Higher education
I
university.
know.
They need to
Oh
know
my
how
God.
powerful influencer marketing is.
Like I just loved her so much. And I mean, ultimately, like it wasn't solely because she went there, but she was a big reason why it was that school was on my radar. I'm from Michigan. Like I don't like kids don't go to Georgia from Michigan. But anywho, so I have been following her for years, and she just graduated and is now like moving to New York, and I'm still watching her videos. So that's one. And then another woman named they call her like Juju Havens, and she is like a little bit older. So she's kind of like in her mid 20s, and her like content is a little bit more like geared towards people of that age. And she has like a husband and a dog and stuff. And she lives in, I think she's in Nashville now. And I follow her and I really like her content. So yeah.
Okay, so go back to Danielle. What is it
Yes.
really attracts you? Obviously, she's a very successful influencer. To have you stay so loyal and
Yeah.
travel to Georgia to visit a school. So what is it? What's her secret sauce? If she was, she's a brand, or what in her vibe or her personality, what is it that makes you really like her, following her?
Yeah. Yeah. I think her secret sauce, and I think this is how a lot of people feel about influencers, is they're relatable. And like one of my best friends also watched her too. And she's like, Kate, you're so much like Danielle. Like she would
You
always send me
are.
stuff. And it was so funny. And I was like, oh, like that's funny. I'm like, I love her. And I think when people can relate and they like see themselves in the influencer, like ultimately, like they connect, they kind of get invested in that person's life. And I think another thing for me is like I see someone like me doing like whatever, like she is like following her dream, like taking risks, doing what she wants. And I think I like everyone have a harder time like kind of like veering off that path. Like I would love to do the influencer thing or work for an influencer, but it just scares me. And I like love seeing her do it. It kind of inspires me. I'm like, I can do it. Like I definitely could do this if I want to. So I think both like you see yourself in them, but also like they are doing things that maybe you want to do. So then that's really attractive to people.
So, okay, you just made me realize that social media gets such a bad rap, and for good reason. It can be
Yeah.
toxic. But obviously there's some positivity in it.
Mhm.
So what I'm hearing from you is you're motivated by it and you're getting good messaging.
Yeah.
And so what comes from Danielle, I'll focus on her, that really is positive and has really helped you.
Mhm. I think one thing about Danielle that I have really always like admired is she's very honest. I think honesty on social media, those things like do not typically mix. And I appreciate honesty. Like I want someone to be real with me. If I, I don't really watch that much YouTube anymore, or like I very much am someone who filters my social media on just stuff that I want to see. So like I don't follow things that I think are going to like be toxic to me or anything. Um but I think just like she's very, very honest and transparent about her life. And like if she's like, I'm taking a social media break, like this is the reason, like I just think that's awesome. Like that's so cool. That's being transparent with your followers and people who support you, but also prioritizing yourself. And I have always really appreciated that about her. And I think that's a reason. I forgot the question, honestly. I'm just going on a tangent
No, it was
with
what you
her.
like, what you got out
Yeah.
of her, the positive,
Yeah.
what you really gained from her.
But I think, yeah, just like kind of that. And also, she has a really positive outlook on things. And I just like the content that she puts out has always been really positive and real. And it seems very authentic.
Yes, I agree. I follow her too, not as much as you do. I don't have time
Yeah.
to follow all these people, but
Right.
I have followed her, and I just think she is one of the best out there. And
She
she is
really is.
just like you, so you are very much like her.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the topic of branding.
Mhm.
And you're in the Kelly School majoring in marketing. So
Yes.
if you could be the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer of any brand in the world,
Oh my goodness.
what brand would you pick?
Okay. So Kelly knows this about me, but to everyone else, I'm a big beauty, wellness, and health gal. That's my thing. I love it. So I would definitely do a company that I like use for sure and that I love. I'm trying to think. mm, Okay, to be honest, I do know what Vital Proteins is, Kelly.
Yeah, it's the
Okay,
protein powder.
I think it's like I think I would do Vital Proteins.
Nice. And so what do you like
Yeah.
about Vital Proteins?
Yeah. So my mom, like a couple months ago, had been using it and she like puts it in her coffee. And
I
I
do
had seen it.
too.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So she puts it in her coffee and that I'd seen it like blow up the last couple months, but I kind of was like, like just putting it off. Like, I'm not going to use that, like, whatever. And then she was like, no, you should start using it. Like, she's like, I've really seen like my skin and like results on my skin and hair. I'm like, okay. So then I started putting it in my coffee and you can't even taste it. Like, it just like dissolves right away. And I've noticed like it's helped my hair grow so fast and just like really, I think like helped my skin feel really healthy and my nails get strong. And those are like things that I love. Like I love self-care. I love taking care of your skin, your hair, your nails. I think it's so important. And I just think that they're a really cool company and I would absolutely love to work for them. So
So if you're going to describe them in 3 words or something, you don't have to, as adjectives, what would you describe, or how would you describe the Vital Proteins brand?
okay. I definitely would say empowering is one of them because I know Jennifer Aniston is their spokesperson right now. And in their commercials, like she's like in a sweaty workout, like she's like, it's like kind of like fuel for her life. So she's like kicking butt and just like being herself. And I think it's so awesome. So I mean, those commercials empower me. So I would say empowering. Um, Probably balanced because I think that they kind of like trying to reach an equilibrium point between like being a supplement and being good for your life, but also kind of like fitting into your life. So it's not like this extra step that you have to like take your vitamins in the morning. It's like kind of made so you just put it in your coffee, or they have coffee creamers or like other drink fizzes that are just like easy, to
Yeah.
consume. So I would say that. And I'd also say, I would say inclusive. I think that their brand really can speak to like so many different people. And I know like my grandparents like use Vital Proteins too, which I think is kind of
Really?
cool.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So they're obviously like kind of into the whole health thing too. But I think that like it kind of does speak to any consumer, which is cool. And everyone could improve their hair, skin, and nails. So, or whatever, or bone health too. Like it's supposed to strengthen
Yeah.
your bones. So I think that's awesome. So really like any generation, any demographic, I think could benefit, which is cool. And I don't think that's the same for everything. So
Oh, I love that. Love that. Okay, so you had to think about what was your favorite brand because you probably have several. So can you just list off, any others that were coming to
yeah,
mind?
okay. Go Macro Bar, definitely a biggie. I like Glossier. I like Sephora. I know that's like kind of like a company, not necessarily a brand.
Okay, no, it's
Um,
okay.
Aloe Yoga, Patagonia. I almost need to pull up my brand board to like see everything. Levi's. Um, oh, this is a toughie. Yeah. I like The Ordinary a lot. I
Yeah,
like Free People, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods.
good.
Um, yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you for sharing those. I mean, it's
Yeah.
always good to have example brands of what the Gen Zers really like. It's always an
Yeah.
interesting question to ask. Okay, here's the next one. What's your least favorite brand, or one of them? Just can you think of a brand that you just don't
Oh,
like?
okay. Oh, my least favorite brand. Like clothing brand or just like
Could be
anything?
any brand.
Mm. You're gonna laugh at this, Kelly. I'm not joking. The first thing that came into my head was, do you know like Gander Mountain, like outdoor stores?
No, I don't. Tell
Okay,
me what
so
it is about.
basically it's basically like a Cabela's. Do you know what Cabela's is?
Yes, yes.
Okay, it's basically like a Cabela's. And growing up, my dad's a huge outdoor sports guy, like
Yeah.
hunting, fishing, biking, the whole nine yards. And he used to drag me to these outdoor stores. and he would go and shoot his bow and I had to sit there. So that like literally is like something that is like etched into my mind. Like I don't like those stores.
It's so funny because clearly you are not their target audience. And they're clearly, they were very much engaging with him, he's their target audience. And,
Oh
and
yeah.
good for them for, getting it right, because they didn't want you in the store, or they weren't trying to sell to you.
No, exactly. So
Yeah.
that is something I don't know. That's not even necessarily like a brand. I can't really think of like a brand off the top of my head that I dislike, but I think really any brand that hasn't taken a pretty like specific effort and inclusion efforts or anything regarding diversity, I like I just think especially like they really, I believe all brands should have had this on their radar before the pandemic and before everything that's happened in this last, what is it now, like 15 months almost. But I just think that it's so, so important. And especially I was looking at this new athletic brand. It's called Girlfriend Collective and it's kind of blowing up on Instagram right now, but they have like models of all different shapes, sizes, colors, like, and I'm just like, why haven't we always been doing this? Like, why did Lululemon just start now to have plus size models? So I think really having a big diversification in who's representing your brand is huge for me. And if I don't see that on a website or within a brand, I'm not as keen on purchasing products from them or whatever they're selling.
Spot on. I think that's very much the way things are moving, and for a good reason.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to your recent experience here working in the world of 80/20 agency.
Yeah.
And so just in a nutshell, tell us what the experience was like and what you learned from it.
Yeah. Overall, the experience was amazing. I know you saw it, Kelly. I was writing a little LinkedIn post yesterday and I was like, how do I explain this summer in a post? Because we did so much. Like it is not summed up in a sentence or even a paragraph. But I think what is amazing, Kelly, about you and 80/20 and the experience is just like how much autonomy you really give to your interns and people who join your team. Like you were so honest about, I don't handhold, like you are not there guiding people, like you give direction, but then you let people do their thing and kind of be able to like express themselves creatively and come to you for advising. And I think that was so great for me because I mean, this was really like my first 9 to 5, my first internship. And just like being able to be kind of like introduced into that part of my life through this position was awesome because, I wasn't felt like I was depending on my boss to give me direction every day, or like there was just so much creative freedom. There was so much things that, I was like that, this needs a tweak on the website, or we're behind on posts for, the 80/20 Instagram. I could just go ahead and do it. And I think that made the experience with 80/20 so, so unique. Also like really just the multitude of things that we got to do. So I told you this, Kelly, but like my roommates were dying laughing when I'm telling them that we're driving 2 hours to go to this bank in the middle of Indiana and I'm meeting all these people, and it is hilarious because it's just like you're meeting like these characters, and it's, I mean, really like unlike any internship. I'm not going to this little desk every day and talking to the same people. We were out and
Describe
about.
what that was. Describe that day.
Yeah. So we went to do a photo shoot in Bicknell, Indiana, and Bicknell, Indiana is south of Bloomington. So we are like almost to Kentucky, basically at Bicknell, right?
Yeah. Well, it was way down there. Southern Indiana.
Southern Indiana. And I mean, it was an experience. Like we went to this small bank and did this whole video and photo shoot. And then we went to lunch after with one of the, I think he's very like the manager or some
one
sort
of the vice
thing.
presidents. Yeah.
Yes. In the bank. And just went to this little like mom and pop restaurant and had lunch with them. And it was just like an experience unlike any other. I'm like, no one can say that they've had this internship experience where they're going to Southern Indiana and having lunch with these like people. And it was just like, so, it was ridiculous, but so fun. It made for a great story, but so that like that, and just we did that so many different times where we were going to different clients and visiting them and going on road trips and doing photo shoots and creating content. And I just think that it created such a valuable experience. And I know me and Ashley and Morgan all can attest and say the same thing, that Kelly was such an amazing leader and always helped us in so many ways, whether it was just personal advice or, you know, helping us, you know, learn about our finances and just like become this really well-rounded, you know, woman entering the workforce, or was related to what we were doing at work. So I loved it. I'm really sad to leave, and it was just it was really fun. It was really, really fun.
So you just reminded me to mention and ask you about, because you helped me create the Golden Ticket internship program,
Yeah,
but we also, and you were the guinea pigs, but you also helped me develop, and we're the guinea pigs for the personal brand boot camp that we're still
right.
doing.
Yes.
So just share just a little bit of what's that like, and has it been
Yeah.
beneficial?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that, you know, honestly, I don't think we talk about ourselves enough. Like, I was kind of thinking about this. I actually was thinking about this last night, and I was thinking about it as we were going through the course of the boot camp. I think a lot of times, like, we're very, you know, we have a lot of internal talk in our heads, and we're talking to other people about, like, oh, what are they doing in their career? Or, you know, listening about that stuff and learning, which is a beautiful thing. But I think it's also super important to like speak out loud, like, what are my goals? Like, what are experiences that have shaped like my perception of things? And what do I want for myself in the future? And how has my past experiences informed that? And through the brand boot camp, like that's really what we focused on the first couple of weeks, was like kind of like drilling in and you asking us those questions, like, you know, what are your goals? What are your experiences that have shaped that, and why? And just being able to like kind of speak that out loud, like speak out characteristics of mine or how people perceive me, I think was like so valuable. And I think that I need to do more of that so I can identify it. Cause I remember you'd ask us questions like something super generic, like how would your friend describe you? And I was like, and I'm like, how do I not know that? Like, you know, like I have plenty of good friends and we talk regularly. Like I should be able to kind of identify those things, especially when I'm marketing myself to an employer or just meeting someone new, like kind of like have that in the back of my pocket. So the brand boot camp really helped me in that regard. Just again, like establish that level of awareness within me and kind of moving forward into the business world, how I want to be perceived and what my personal brand is, how I want to market myself. And I loved it. And aside from that, too, we just did a bunch of cool things. Like yesterday, we met with a financial planner, and just were able to ask her questions for an hour. Like, how cool. So, yeah.
Good, good. I'm glad you guys, valuable, an experience. It was a valuable experience. Um, so what do you think was the most important thing you learned through your internship? Like we had, a lot of crazy stuff. You learned a lot of
Yeah.
technical, you learned InDesign, you learned Photoshop, you learned a lot of software, I know. But
Mhm.
if you could take away one thing, what was one thing that you'll carry forward that, this is valuable that I'm going to remember?
Yeah. I think, let me think about this. I think one thing, honestly, that I really found throughout the internship is just like how to connect with so many different people. I think what's really awesome about 80/20 is all of our clients are so different. Like we have contracting, and then we have rocks, and then we have a Canadian athletic brand. Like, I mean, it is, and then we have like a cleaning service for like toxic waste. Like so different. And I think you know, kind of like knowing your personal brand and being able to kind of like communicate with so many different people, especially like Kelly, you're communicating your services and tailoring them to like so many different industries. I think that was just something that like I really learned about, like how to connect with different people. And, you know, when you do have a service, like how do I tailor that and kind of make it work for all my different clients or whatever I may be doing. So I know it's kind of like a little bit general, but I just throughout the course of the internship, that continued to be something that I was like, oh my goodness, like this is really cool. I can't believe like we can work with all these different people. And and you always say everyone needs marketing, like everyone needs marketing. And I think I just kept remembering that was something that really shined throughout this entire summer, was that everyone needs help. Doesn't matter what industry they're in. And yeah.
Okay, so we're probably going to wrap up. I know Lucas is probably wondering, when are we going to stop talking? But I always run over. So if you were going to give the listeners, whoever they are, listeners' advice on Gen Z and
Okay.
what Gen Z wants in this world, really what they're looking for. What is that you want from brands and employers?
Good question, Kelly. I like this one. I think I want people to listen. I want older generations and everyone to be receptive to change, because I know things are changing very rapidly, and so many people are so resistant to change and so resistant to listen. And I think people think they're listening, but I don't think they actually are. So I think that brands and individuals need to tap into the source. They need to tap into Gen Z, and they need to listen, and they need to be receptive to what we have to say.
I think that's a terrific answer. And I just have to say,
Thank
I did
you.
not prompt you on that ahead of time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Cate, it's been a blast having you all
so
summer. I'm going to
lovely.
miss you and the other two immensely. I'm glad we got to wrap up this week with the podcast, and I can't wait to see you live and in person again. We do still have to have a wrap up celebration. So
We do. We absolutely do. Paddleboarding with 80/20 for sure.
that's for sure. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Great. Thanks, Kelly.
Okay. See you, Cate.
Bye.